Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Liz. My brand name is ladensercrotchets. So if you're just joining me, kindly subscribe to my channel and I'll really appreciate that. So in this tutorial, we're going to make this booty short. It's a shelly booty short. This was the first tutorial I ever uploaded, and I recently watched that tutorial and it was really bad, and that's why I decided to do an advanced or a better version of the tutorial, because when I started out, I really didn't have any editing skills. So I ended up uploading a tutorial that I don't think it was good enough, and that is why I decided to redo it. For those who got to watch my first tutorial of this particular short, I'm so grateful. If you are able to watch that tutorial, then thank you so much, because it was really bad. I hope you're going to enjoy watching this one, because I can guarantee you that this one is way better than the first one. To work this short, you're going to need several measurements, and the first measurement that you're going to need is your hip measurement. In this case, this is my hip measurement. As you can see, without stretching it out, it goes up to 14, which is 14 multiplied by 2 to get 28, but it can actually stretch up to 18 inches, which gives me 36 when multiplied by 2. And then you're going to need the fly measurement, that is the measurement from your belly bottom at this point up to the parting of your legs right here. That is the fly that you're going to need. So you're going to measure the fly when the project is stretched out. So after my project has already, it's not quite stretched out, because after stretching it out, it was going up to 10. And then you're going to need the round fly. The round fly is this fly from your belly bottom all the way around that part between your legs, all the way back to the top of your butt. And in my case, the fly is 24, so I've worked a fly of 24. The other measurement that you're going to need is the full length of the short. So you need to measure where you want your short to go up to, so you'll need this full measurement. And in my case, I have 11 inches, which can stretch a little bit to maybe 13 inches. So get those measurements and get ready to get started with this tutorial. These are the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need yarn. I'll be using a medium weight yarn. You can substitute these with whatever yarn you have available to you. And this yarn is a Kenyan brand called Winter King. You'll need a hook. I'll be using a 4.5 millimeter hook. You don't have to use a 4.5 millimeter hook. You can use whatever hook is available to you. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, a stitch marker, and a measuring tape. We begin with a slip knot, and then chain 5. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. After the 5 chains, pull out the hook, hold your chain in place, then go back to this beginning chain and put the hook through from the other side like this. Put the hook through, then put it back to the hook that you just pulled it out from. So the reason we're doing this is to ensure that our chain is not going to get twisted, because we're going to join the two ends together once we have the desired chain. So when you're chaining, you want to chain until you have a chain that is long enough to fit onto your hips. So you're working with your hip measurement. I'm working a hip measurement of 36 inches, and therefore I'll start with a chain of 81. The reason why I'm doing 81 instead of 80 is because whatever chain you're making should be an odd number. So right now I have 6. I'll do more chains to get to 80. So do a chain that is long enough to fit onto your hips when stretched. Have done 81 chains, and I'm going to measure to see how many inches I have on my hips. So just place your measuring tape like this, and then you're going to stretch out the chain. So when I stretch out my chain, it's going up to around 16 inches, and I'm doing 36. 36 should be at 18, because my chain is folded into 2. Then it means if I'm at 16, I'm multiplying by 2 to get 32. So I'll need to add 2 more inches or 4 more inches to get to 18. 18 times 2 will give me 36. So I'll add 10 more chains to get to 91, and then confirm again. So I'll measure that again. and that gets me to 18 inches, which is what I want, and I'm done with the foundation chain. So it's time to join the two ends together, and what we're just going to do is pull this hook loop through like that, and that's a slip stitch made. Therefore we have our first, that round, that it's not our first round, but it's the foundation round. Next we're going to chain 3, and the chain 3 acts as our first double crochet, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet into each of the chains that we have. So we already have the first double crochet in the first chain. Go on to the second chain and put another double crochet, then a double crochet into the next chain, a double crochet into the next, and into every other stitch till you get to the end of the round at this point. So we're just going to go around the chain to this end. I'm done with the first round. As you can see, I have put a double crochet into every chain stitch, and I have the same number of chains as the same number of stitches as the chains that I began with. So I have 91 double crochets. So to complete this row, the round, you slip stitch on top of the chain, the first chain 3 stitch. So you're going to count 1, 2, and into the third chain you're going to slip stitch. And there we're done with round 1. To begin round 2, chain 3, then we're going to yarn over and we're going to do a front post double crochet into the next stitch. So we're not working in this first stitch where we have the chain 3, we're going to work into the next. So put a front post double crochet followed by a back post. So yarn over, go around the stitch, pull a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a back post. Then alternate with a front post followed by a back post, then front post double crochet, back post double crochet, front post. And for round 2, we're just going to alternate between a front post double crochet and a back post double crochet. So just work the front posts and the back posts, and I'll meet you at the end of this round. I'm coming to the end of round 2, just doing the back posts and the front posts. I've just done the last back post in the last stitch, and I'm looking at the first chain 3. So I'll just count 1, 2, and 3. Into the third chain, I'll do a slip stitch to complete round 2. To begin round 3, chain 3. Into this stitch where we worked a front post, we're going to work another front post. Into the next one where we did a back post, we're going to do a back post. And this is what we're going to do. Just alternate again between a front post and a back post. So whatever stitch that has a front post is going to get a front post. The ones that have back posts are going to get a back post. And this is the effect that you're supposed to be getting. We are doing the waistband first, and then we can come back and do the main part of the short. So for row 3, we're going to do row 4. We are in round 3. We're going to do round 3, round 4, and round 5, the same way we're doing round 3. I'm done with the 5 rounds of the waistband. I'm here to join the round. So to do that, we count 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3 into the third chain, make a slip stitch. And there we're done with the waistband. And now we're going to start the first round of the main part of the short. So chain 1 and turn. We've been working rounds without turning, but as from now, we'll be turning at the end of every round. So after turning, go back into that first stitch and put a single crochet. Skip the next stitch, go into the third with 3 double crochets into that same stitch. So we are working a 3 double crochet shell stitch. It's a shell because we have 3 stitches into the same stitch. Then skip the next one, into the next one, work a single crochet, skip the next, then 3 double crochets, skip, single crochet, skip, 3 double crochets. So as you can see, we are skipping a stitch in between the stitches, and we are alternating between a single crochet and a shell stitch. So we are at the shell of the 3 double crochets. We're going to skip and work a single crochet, skip, 3 double crochets or the shell stitch, skip, single crochet, skip, shell. This is a very simple stitch that you're working. All you need to remember is that you're alternating between a single crochet and a shell, and in between the shell and the single crochet there's a skipped stitch. So go on, work your alternate stitches all the way to the end of the first round. I'm at the end of round 1, and into this last stitch we're going to put 3 double crochets into that same stitch. So I've just worked the single crochet, so I'll skip this, then into this stitch I'll put 3 double crochets. So because you began with a single crochet, you should end with the shell stitch. So at the end of the round, we're going to slip stitch on top of that first single crochet. So just slip stitch, and you're done with round 1 of the main part of the short. Chain 1 and turn. Remember, we are turning at the end of every round. So that first stitch had a single crochet. So on top of the single crochet, we're going to put the shell stitch. That is the 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Then into the shell stitch, we're going to skip the first stitch, then the middle stitch of the shell gets a single crochet. Then we skip the last stitch of the shell. On top of the single crochet from the previous round, we put the shell stitch, so the 3 double crochets. Skip the next stitch into the middle stitch of the previous shell, single crochet. Skip this into the single crochet. On top of the single crochet, put 3 double crochets. So whatever stitch that had a single crochet, it's going to get the shell. The stitch that had the shell is going to get a single crochet into the middle stitch. At the end of round 2, we're going to put a single crochet on top of the shell. Then we're going to slip stitch on top of the first double crochet of the first shell. And then we're going to slip stitch again to get to the middle stitch. So we are in the middle stitch of the shell, then we're going to chain 1 and turn. So into that stitch, we're going to go back there with a single crochet. Then skip over to the single crochet stitch from the previous round and put 3 double crochets there. On top of the middle stitch of the previous shell, single crochet, then 3 double crochets on top of the single crochet, and then repeat to the end. Into the last single crochet, I'm going to put the 3 double crochets. And round 3 is done, so slip stitch on top of the single crochet, chain 1, turn your work. Into that single crochet, you're going to start with the shell so the 3 double crochets. So we are doing round 4 right now, and round 4 is the same as round 3. Round 4 is the same as round 2. Then round 3 is going to be the same as round 5. And that means we're going to be working the odd rows the same way, and the even rows, that is the even rounds. We're going to be working the even rounds the same way, and the odd rows will work the same way. And we're going to work these rounds until we have a total of 16 rounds for the main part of the short. That means we're going to be counting the rounds from this point. So at this point I'm doing the 4th round of the main part, but if I were to add the rounds that we did for the waistband, then we would have a total of 9 rounds. So we're going to do 16 plus the 5 that we have here. It will be a total of 21 rounds. So do your 16 rounds, and let's meet once you're done with the 16 rounds, and we can continue from there. Remember, round 2, round 4, round 6, round 8, and all the other even rounds will be worked the same way. Then round 3, round 5, round 7, and all the other odd rounds are the same. That is, the way you begin and end them is the same. So keep going. I've worked the 16 rounds, and this is what I have right here. It's looking really pretty. The shells are showing, as you can see. So at this point, I'm done with the fly part. The fly, you're measuring it from your belly bottom up to the parting of your legs. So at this point, without stretching, my fly is at 7 inches right there. But then you need to measure the fly with the project stretched a little bit. So when I stretch this, it's going to stretch up to around 10 inches. And at this point, we're ready to divide the skirt in order for it to become a short. So I'm at 10 inches, but then for you to have a complete fly, you need to measure the round fly. A round fly is measured from your belly bottom all the way around the parting of your leg, and then you measure it all the way to the back part of the short, or to the part above your butt. So like this. I've already measured my round fly, and it measures 24 inches. So that means on one side, up to a point right here, I should have 12 inches. Then the other 12 inches will be on the other side. So make sure that you measure the fly from your belly bottom to the parting of your legs, and then measure the round fly. That is the fly from your belly bottom all the way to that part in between your legs, all the way back to that part above your butt. If you want your short to be high waist, then the fly must be longer. If you want your short to be at the waist part, that is, if you do not want a high waist, then it means that the fly should be shorter. So I've already measured my fly, and like I mentioned, it's at 24, and that means, so I'll be chaining at this point where I've finished working. At this point right here. So that means when I measure the fly, now already after stretching, it stretches to 10, and I want it to be at 12 inches. So it means that I'm going to do a chain right here and attach it on the other side. And when I measure this length right here, it should be 12 inches. So at this point, you want to identify the exact middle of the short, and then I'm going to chain 21. I've already chained 1, so I'll chain 20 more for a total of 21. So the chain that you're making, it should be an odd number, just like we did with the beginning chain. Then hold your skirt like this, because at this point it's just a skirt. And when you do, you're going to get the middle part at this point. So you've already joined, get that middle part, and my middle part is this part that has a shell right here. and at that point I'll attach the chain with a slip stitch. There, I have my chain attached, and we've already divided the skirt into two so that we make it into a short. And so after doing that, I'll hold the short like this, and then I'll measure the fly right now. And like I mentioned, it should be able to stretch up to 12, so that when you take 12 multiplied by 2, we get to 24. So I'll give this a bit of a stretch, and there, after stretching, it's going up to 12 inches. So if you're a smaller size, the fly will be smaller than 24. If you're a bigger size, it's going to be more than 24. So if it's smaller, it means that you're going to chain less chains, like 10 or 15. If you're bigger, then you might have to chain up to 30 chains, depending on your round fly. So I chained 21. I've attached with a slip stitch. After attaching with a slip stitch, I'm going to chain 1 and then cut off the yarn. Pull through and fasten. And now we're going to work the legs each at a time. So I'll start with one side, then come back to the other side. And to do that, I'm going to turn my short to the other side, then get the exact middle of this chain. Chain 21, my exact middle is the stitch at the stitch number 11. So I'll just count 11 stitches from this point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So right there, that's the middle of the chain. Then I'll get my yarn and make a slip stitch, slip knot, that is, sorry. I'll make a slip knot, put it on the hook, and then pull through. Then I'm going to chain 1, go back into that stitch with a single crochet, then we're going to skip. So skip the next chain, and into the third chain you're going to put 3 double crochets, skip the next one, the stitch after that, single crochet, skip, 3 double crochets, skip, then single crochet, skip, 3 double crochets, sorry, I'm at this point on top of the double crochet shell stitch. So on top of the double crochet shell stitch, I'll put a single crochet, then into the previous single crochet. So I'm working on one side. I'll work this side first. I'll first work on this side, then I'll attach the yarn and work this other side. I've already worked the single crochet, so I'll skip over to the single crochet from the previous round and work the shell stitch. Skip into the middle stitch, single crochet, then shell stitch, and then alternate this way until you get to this point. Then I'll meet you here, and then we can finish the round together. I'm on this other side of the chain, so on top of that second double crochet, I'll put a single crochet, then I'll skip the next chain, and into the next one put 3 double crochets, skip, single crochet, then skip, 3 double crochets, skip, single crochet, then skip, then after skipping finally put 3 double crochets into that last stitch. And then to complete that first round of the legs, slip stitch on top of that first single crochet. So we are done with the first round of the legs, and I'll be working 10 rounds, so I'll chain 1 and turn. So at this point you already know where to put the shell stitches and where to put the single crochets, so continue like this. The pattern is the same, so just continue the way we've been doing, alternating between the shell stitches and the single crochets. So I'm just starting with the shell stitch at that first stitch, followed by a single crochet on top of the second double crochet, followed by a shell on top of the single crochet, and continue for 10 rounds. So the number of rounds that you're going to work right here will totally depend on the length of the short that you want. If you want a shorter short, then you will work fewer rounds. If you want your short a bit longer, then it means that you're going to do more rounds. So I've already done 1 round. I'm going to do 9 more for a total of 10. I had mentioned that I was going to work 10 rounds, but instead I've worked 9. So you want to work a number of rounds that is okay with you, but make sure that for that last round that you work, you end at the point where you have a single crochet. So the reason why I didn't work the 10 but ended up working 9 is so that I can finish with a single crochet at this point. So at this point I'll chain 3 and turn, and I'm going to be working the 10th row, but then the 10th row will be the edging of the short. So this is the last round, not the row, but the last round that I'm going to be working. So after chaining 3, I'll go back into that stitch and work 3 double crochets. So the first chain 3 acts as the first double crochet, so we'll work 3 more for a total of 4. Then skip over the stitches on the shell and then slip stitch into the next single crochet. So for this round we're only working the single crochets, all the other stitches will be skipped. After slip stitching, chain 3, go back into that stitch with 3 double crochets, skip over to the single crochet and slip stitch, chain 3, then 3 double crochets, not single crochets. We're only working double crochets in this round. I keep confusing between rounds and rows, but I hope you understand what I mean. Then skip over to the next single crochet, slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets into the same stitch, skip over, slip stitch into the single crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and we're basically going to repeat this to the end of this round. I just worked the last shell, and to complete that round we're going to slip stitch at the point where you have the single crochet. So we're not slip stitching on top of the chain 3, but at that starting point. And then we're going to slip stitch in between the first chain 3 stitch, then chain 1 and cut off that yarn, and you're done with that one side or that one leg. We're done with everything together with the edging, and this is how the short is looking like at this point. So you want to attach the yarn at this middle part where we attach the other yarn and work the other side of the leg till you have 9 rounds. After you're done with the 9 rounds, then you can do the 10th round, which is the edging of the short. To work the other side, I'll get the yarn and start with a slip knot. Then I'll get my project and identify the point where we started. So it should align with this part right here. So it should be this point right here. So that's where I'll attach my yarn with a slip stitch. So if I attach right here, it's going to be loose, and that's why I'm trying to go in between this stitch so that you do not have very loose stitches. And I'm going to force the hook through and do a slip stitch. Chain 1, then go back into that stitch with a single crochet. So at that point you had a single crochet and you're still going to put a single crochet, so you're not alternating at this point. Then at this point where you have the shell, you're going to put another shell on the other side. And then the next one is a single crochet, and you're going to put a single crochet. So wherever there was a single crochet in this round, we are just putting a single crochet. Wherever there was a shell, you're putting a shell. And then when we get to the next round, that's when we'll start alternating. So this first round of the second leg, you're not alternating, but only in the middle part. On this other part, you're going to alternate. So next you're going to have a single crochet, then a shell on top of the other shell, that gets us to where we have the first shell where we chained, and into that shell we put a single crochet. Then we are at the next single crochet, so at that point we put a shell. Then start alternating now. Single crochet on top of the shell, shell on top of the single crochet, then single crochet in the middle stitch, and so on. So keep alternating, and I'll meet you at this second corner right here, and then we can finish the round. I'm at this corner, and right there I'll put a single crochet. Then next we'll have the shell on that part that has a shell on the other side of the leg. Then where there was a single crochet, another single crochet, followed by a shell on top of the other shell, then single crochet, shell, and we are at the end of the row. We started with a single crochet, so slip stitch on top of that first single crochet, chain 1 and turn. Then we know where there was a single crochet, it's going to be a shell. This is round 2, and we are working 9 rounds before doing the edging. So the 10th round is the edging round, 2 and 3. Then on top of the shell into the second stitch, single crochet, and then we're just going to keep on going. The pattern does not change, so keep going for a total of 9. then do the edging with the 10th round and you'll be done with this short. So I'll go on, finish my short, and I'll come back to show you the final product, and then we'll work on the strap that will go to the waist. The short is done, as you can see, and it's turned out great. The shells are looking so good and I really love the outcome. So the next thing to do is to do a strap, and I'm going to double up my strands in order to make that strap that is going to go to the waist. So start with a slip knot and make a chain of 250. I have my chain ready, so I'll just cut it off, the yarn off, then pull through and fasten. So this is the chain that's going to act as a strap, and I'm just going to get my front part of the short. I identify that middle part. This is what I do in order to get the middle part. So I just hold the short like that. So this part here will be the front middle part of the short. I'll get my darning needle, put this strap through, and then attach it to this middle part. Then I'll start going through the inside of the stitches so that I attach the strap onto the short. So from the inside I'll skip 2, from the outside I'll skip 1. And I'm just going to go around till I get back to the front part of the short. So because we worked the short with the hip measurement, the chain or the strap is meant to draw the waist together so that it fits perfectly onto the waist. So just like this. So that is our short completely done. And now you just need to cut off these ends. First chain, put a knot, make sure that the knot is very close to the stitches and tighten it completely. Then get your pair of scissors and cut the remaining yarn off. Then get the other part or the other side, make a knot and cut off that tail. Then all that's remaining is to weave in these ends using the darning needle. So you just want to hide them inside the stitches such that you're not able to see any tail. So just go through the stitches, in between the stitches, and hide the tails. And once you've completely hidden all the tails, your short will be ready. So I'm satisfied with that, so I can get the pair of scissors and cut that remaining tail. So do the same to all the other tails. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this tutorial. If you've liked it, kindly give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that. Also check out the description box for more information regarding whatever the resources or whatever items you're going to need for this tutorial. And also check it out for my Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook pages. And do follow me on Instagram and on TikTok and also on Facebook. If you get to recreate this short, kindly do not forget to tag me onto your photos, because I would really love to see what you recreate using this tutorial. So thank you so much, and see you in the next video. Bye.